I found this book randomly on I think it was a Facebook post, reel, of Instagram reel or whatever. Um, and it just showed up with a description, and I was like, huh, that seems interesting. I'll look into it. And I was like, okay. I read the blurb on the back, and I looked at the cover, and I was like, alright, sure, let's get it. And here we are. I read the book. So, the Skystone Chronicles Book 1, Dragon Thief, is written by Raven Pen and Blake Pen. I do believe they are siblings. Find each other. Maybe not exactly. Maybe not exactly siblings based on that description, but I will not judge nor assume more than it does not sound like siblings to me. So, The Dragon Thief, it was written in 2023, so it's a relatively new book. It on the Storygraph it stands at a respectable 3.9, but you know. However, with only 55 reviews. This tells me this is a relatively unknown book. And that's fine. I love unknown books, to be honest. I think you can get some interesting ones. Of the reviews it has, most people have said that it is medium with a little fast-paced. I agree. I think medium pace is actually a pretty good description for this one. Is the plot or character driven? 40% says it's a mix, and the rest are relatively even split between plot and character, which is kind of funny because that means everyone kind of agrees. And I think I agree too, because I think at times our main character, what was his name? Asher of Steelwood. I think at times he comes out as a bit of a passive character. And which is fine for this book because everyone else drives and he reacts to it, and he is proactive when something happens. Well, maybe not proactive, but he is highly reactive. So it's not like he's passive in that regard, he's just not the one initiating. Is there strong character development? 66% says yes. I would agree with that assessment. I think you could definitely make the argument that that is a big part of the book. Is Asher learning about trusting people and learning about the world and learning that not everybody is the same. Are the characters lovable? 66% again, that's kind of funny, says yes. And I somewhat agree. So that's awesome. Are the characters diverse? Most says yes with 60%, and 20% says it's complicated. I would say it's complicated because this is a heist story, and given it's a heist story, we all know that there's gonna be people gonna have different roles, and they definitely fall into that. And finally, are the flaws of the character's main focus? And people are very split. Some say no, some says complicated, and a bit fewer says yes. I would say it's complicated, leaning towards yes. It is not the main story, but if we look at Asher specifically, that is his entire deal, is learning to cope with the guilt he's feeling for his mother's death. And also you have his friend, and I don't remember his name. I am horrible with names. Anyways, that's not important. But his best friend is basically collecting reasons why everyone is doing this. And for most of them, there are not altruistic, but more just, hey, this is our tragic story. Now, let's talk about the cover, because the cover I really bought, and I think this is awesome. I think this is really, really cool. It is. I love the color, like the white color with the fallen rocks. That's a relatively large theme in this one. Is this thing called Skystone, where there could basically meteorites falling from the sky. I love the dragon. I do believe this is. Oh my god, I am blanking on every name in this book. This is wild. Fran? Azure Striking basically. Which, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I would say it's probably Azure Striking due to the antler thing, which is a cool description. I love when you do something interesting with dragons. And then we have Azure himself standing here with this spear thing that he can summon with his magic. I don't know if I quite like the style of the spear, the way it is drawn here by the artist, but it's decent. And this is of course the dust jacket, and this is the actual cover of the book. And this is epic too. I think this is for the style it's going for. It's really great. I think my problem with these types here, and I bind books and this is the style I go for, but that's because I like to add depth. This to me screams there should be depth. This should be raised and all the black in here should be lowered. Maybe even this should be lowered too, but you know, there should be some 3 dimension, but it's still an epic cover. But I actually prefer the dust jacket. I think that's a way more interesting cover, in my opinion. Now, let's talk about the story, and I'm not gonna go through it beat by beat, I'm just gonna talk through some of the things I noticed or thought about as I was reading it. And the very first thing is this magic system that is both a hard system and a soft system at the same time, you can say. So the difference is whether or not there are rules, basically. Like, can you define it clearly? Brandon Sanderson on one hand is like the godfather of hard magic systems. It's basically a science in his. And on the other hand, you have like Tolkien, where magic can just happen because magic, which is completely fair, but way different in mentality. Now, this one I would say is leaning heavily in the hard magic system, and that's because, and I didn't like it, I still don't. I get it, but I don't like it. They have this, which is basically the magical triad thing. Like, it's clearly inspired by Legend of Zelda. But what I don't like is it almost is set up like a rock, paper, scissors system. And that's also, it's not quite how the book formulates it, but it kind of is. But the way it is, it's more like, it's all, because it's a born thing that some people have. And that's not how it feels though. It's really not. It just feels like it's whatever you were learned. Like what you were taught, and then it is soft within those. Like Asher's magic is creating things out of some metallic glass thing, basically, and that's really, really cool. Like, that is really cool. And what limits him is basically his imagination within it. But then he can also levitate, and that's what all of them can do, and it doesn't really fit in with the glass thingy. But then you have his friend, the guy I can't remember the name of, who can do a lot of illusion stuff. And that's also, let me just move it in, a bit weird, because that's so different, and he can use, and it's really cool, he uses geckos. Like, when you touch your body, you can hear him in your thoughts, and he creates 9 of them for the entire team, and that's really cool. And you have like someone who uses shadow, and like it's cooler ideas. I think it's a bit too much. It's a bit complicated what is going on, and it is big part of the book is how complicated it is, because there's supposed to be all these rules, and yet there's not really, because they end up breaking them and no one gets how they're broken, but they're broken. So it's a big plot point, you could say, but it's still, I'm not a big fan of it. Now, for the story itself, Azure wants revenge for his mother's death. Basically, entire story for him, like his story arc, is he thinks by watching his mother die and not intervening, he is guilty. And so he wants to take revenge on Black Valkyrie, who killed his mother. And that's the story. And then as the actual, like, that's Azure's story and his motivation. The actual story is a heist for a, what they call a true dragon egg. And all in all, it's a fine story. I liked the team. I think the way Asher and his friends breaks into the night meeting to figure out what the sister is doing with all these strangers by dressing up as some of the people and trying to act all, and that was super fun because they're like, we don't trust you, okay, but we can't prove it because you're answering correctly but vaguely on all of our questions, which is what you would do. So it's really, really weird. It is in general a really funny book for some of the time. A lot of the time you're gonna have Asher doing bandering, you're gonna have the classic, one of them is this grizzled guy who just has a weird saying for anything. You definitely say it's other Australians or from the southern states of America, that would be the real world equivalent. And then you have the planner, you have the person who can create all these disguises, and you have the bomb demolition expert. You have all of these stereotypical people. And it's not bad. It is a young adult book. It's really, really good. It's really funny a lot of the time. Asher's constant need of banter, though, really gets on your nerves. And it's fine, but it's also a bit just it grinds my gears a little. You don't need to banter so much. You don't need to comment on everything, but it's such a typical thing. And then there's I'm not gonna go through too much, but then there's the leader of the guild who is a noble, and Asher automatically doesn't trust nobles. I think it's because Black Valkyrie fights for them or something like that. I don't think it's explained quite properly, but all in all, that's also fine. That's really all I can say about this book. It's a fine read. It was fun for most of it. It's a simple read. It's not a long book. It's not a complicated book. It's a pretty standard heist story. It follows all the tropes of a heist, with a smaller heist first to gain some knowledge for the big heist, and we get some romance plot, some betrayal. It's good. It's fine. I think I would have liked for the heist to take up more space of the book instead of the preparation for it, because it really feels like we go through 4/5 of the book, and then by we reach the final fifth, that's when the actual heist happens. But it's fine. It sets up for the next book to not necessarily be a heist, but it's more of an adventure, basically from A to B, because that's the mission they get. And I think that's great, because you could easily fall into the trap of making it a heist on a heist on a heist. And while it's fun, it also gets annoying and samey. So it's a good way of breaking it up, making sure the sequel is not just a heist. But all in all, should you read this book? If you want a... What's her name? I'm blanking on names today, wildly. A Six of Crows-esque book. Less dark, more bandery. And with dragons. Absolutely cannot forget dragons. I think his name is Thorn. That's what I think, really. And Thorn is the funniest guy except for the person who actually does all these random expressions. Then Thorn is the funniest because you have a mind link to Asher, and that it's really funny, and it's a smart way of doing it. But yeah, so it's Six of Crows meets dragons meets more bandu, less dark, and it's good. It is good. I think you should, if you like young adult heist books, this is definitely something for you, and it would be a shame to miss it out, because I think the series got potential. I think it's going to be fun reading more of it later on.